Hi, everyone, and welcome to Build a Digital Journal with Notion. I'm so happy to have you here. And while we're getting started, feel free to type into the chat how long you've been using Notion and where you're from. I'd love to hear from you. So, first of all, I'll be going over today's event itinerary. So, it'll start with an introduction, followed by journaling benefits, journaling tips and ideas. Then we'll be going over how to build a digital journal with Notion, and then it'll be followed by a Q&A, and then I'll show you how to download various freebies and free resources. So I'm super excited to share this with you all. It probably won't take the full hour, so it's going to be relatively brief today. So let's first get started with an introduction. So first, the Organized Notebook specializes in designing Notion templates that can help you optimize workflow, organize data, and increase productivity. Be sure to check out the website and template store. There's actually a lot of freebies and free resources for beginners to get started with Notion. Also, over on the channel, there's a bunch of tutorials that you can follow if you're new to Notion, which should help you get started as well. I'll leave the link to it into the chat. My name is Sara, and I've been using Notion for several years now, and I'm super passionate about Notion. So I'm really excited to have you along and share about digital journaling with Notion today. So a few things about the event. You can add your comments and questions into the chat. Please keep the conversation respectful and about the event. There is a lag, so I'll answer most questions at the end, but please type your questions and I'll make sure to go through them. And just a friendly reminder, this chat is for discussing about this event and Notion related topics. Messages not relating to these will be moderated and removed if necessary. So the first thing is journaling benefits. So feel free to type into the chat. Have you tried journaling? What was your experience? What do you use for journaling? Do you use physical? Do you use digital? What kind of apps do you use? Have you already tried it with Notion? So the first thing that's really beneficial for journaling is that it can really help you achieve goals. Journaling about your goals can give you motivation and kind of analyze your goal processes. So just in general, writing things down can help you sort of go through what's going on in your mind and figure out these things that could help propel you forward. Journaling can also help you track progress. So tracking progress for all kinds of things, for reading, fitness, study, and more. There's really nothing that you can't journal about. So there's just so many things that you could journal about, whether that's your hobbies or something more serious like your mental health. So any activity can be tracked as a progress journal. You can even add metrics to your journaling as well. So that can be a super useful thing to do with journaling. The next thing that's really great for journaling is that it can give you a lot of self-confidence. So by reflecting inside yourself, you might realize things about yourself that maybe on the outside at first you weren't so sure about, but now you feel more sure and secure about your thoughts and ideas. If you start having doubts, you can always write about it. Looking back on achievements and challenges that you've overcome inside of the journal can also be a huge confidence booster. So, for example, if you've been working really hard towards a marathon and every day you've been writing about your experience, at the end and after you're done with it, when you look back on that experience, it will be a huge confidence booster. The other thing with journaling is that you can find a lot of inspiration and creativity. So freeform style journals can be a super useful way to sort of use that element of creativity inside of you. And especially creative writing prompts can also be a really good way to sort of think outside of the box and also have fun with it. You can also write out new ideas without fear of judgment. So writing things down can be just such a great way, especially for personal journaling that you don't plan to share with anyone, can just be a really good way to just think through it. Hi, Scrapbook School. Yeah, paper journaling is really great. I've also tried the Day One app myself as well, and I find that really useful too. So next, let's talk about improving your writing. So journaling can also help you write better because you start to sort of notice things about your writing, and creative writing can become a habit as well if you that's something you want to improve on. For example, if one of your goals is to write something like a book or something, then I think writing every day like that could be a huge boost to your skills as well. The next thing is that it can help you keep your memories. So memories get preserved the more you write and reread about them. It's so easy to forget the day-to-day life, but if you write it down and then years later you could read about it, then it can be really fun, as well as leaving something behind for someone too. So if you wanted to be able to leave a journal from your past to someone else, that can also be super powerful and meaningful. So make sure to write about memories that are important to you, things that you don't want to forget. So those are really good ways to keep your memories. And then journaling can also be a huge stress reliever because you can let out all of your stress and emotions inside you out on paper. So in some ways, it's like having a conversation with yourself, and you can find out a lot about yourself and also let all of the thoughts in your mind out so that you feel more clear-headed. So those are all of the journal benefits. And next, let's talk about journaling tips and ideas. So digital versus physical. So obviously that's like a huge topic for journaling, because on the one hand, if you have physical journals, you can handwrite, and there's just so much in that is really powerful and physical and meaningful about it. Digital journals also can provide a space that is safe with a large amount of storage. So if you want to keep things more private, digital journaling can be great, as opposed to a physical journal. Someone could pick it up and read it. And you have a finite amount of storage space. But yeah, physical journals can be more therapeutic without the digital light and freedom to write by hand. So that's also really nice, especially because nowadays there's just so much digital things going on that it could be good to have a physical journal as well. So next, let's talk about why Notion. So obviously with Notion, it would be more digital journaling, but Notion provides a space that's easy to customize yet digital. So you get some of the benefits of having that paper journal in the sense that you have this kind of customizability without being tied down. For example, you can add your own prompts to your digital journal template in Notion. There's a lot of customizations you can do based on the type of journaling that you enjoy doing. So that's kind of why it's more like a hybrid approach, in the sense that you do have that flexibility of both this digital and more structured space while having more areas that you can kind of play around with and customize. Your journal can also be accessed from both your computer and mobile device, so you can journal when you need to. So that's also really powerful. You can carry it around in your mobile phone and then journal when you need to. You can also store multiple journals no matter the topic. So it's really easy to categorize your journaling with Notion, which is one of the reasons why I really like Notion for journaling, is that you can have various sort of journals that you can add journal entries to, but you can also add journal entries to multiple journals if that's how you want to organize your structure. So the topic-based journaling is really useful with Notion. The other thing is you can use prompts if you get stuck. So if you get stuck with writing and staring at a blank page, make sure to use prompts. So that's a huge tip for journaling. Sometimes if you have just a blank page, it can be overwhelming. Writing with prompts make journaling much easier. And also with Notion, you can add templates inside databases with prompts. So this is also a really fun element of Notion, is that you can basically add custom prompts about various topics so that whenever you have that urge to journal, you can click one of them and then get started. Finally, make sure to make it a habit. Making it a daily habit, the more you write, you'll start to see the results of your journaling. So I think the more you write into your journal, the more enjoyable it also becomes, because you get this backlog of all of your old journal entries. It can just be really fun to look back on that. So that's basically journaling tips and ideas, as well as why you could consider using Notion for journaling. Also, the other thing I wanted to note is that you don't have to be tied down to one journaling app. So for example, if you use one for personal journal, daily journaling, but you want to use Notion as more like a journaling / notes hybrid system, that could also work really well. So the next part of this is that we're going to be building a journal Notion template together. And if this goes too fast, this will be recorded. So you'll be able to rewatch it and go back through it so that, if it goes too fast, be sure to look out for that. But basically what we're going to be building today is a very, very simple journal Notion template, which consists of journal entries and journals. So there's going to be two main databases here, journals and journal entries, which have a relational database. And also we'll be adding a button so that you can easily add entries. And this element is really useful for mobile journaling. So this is going to appear at the top of your phone so that you can click it and then start journaling. So the main thing is going to be the buttons plus the two databases. And inside of each journal, when you open it up, you'll see also a button to add new entries to it, as well as a table of all your entries relating to that particular journal topic. The other thing we'll be adding is these journal templates. So you can see daily entry template. You can also add AI prompts if you want. So those are kind of the options that you can add to your journal. So there's really a lot you can do with journaling in Notion. So let's dive right in. And if we go here, you can get started with an empty Notion page. So the first step to building a journal is to go over to the top right-hand corner of an empty page and then turn on small text full width. And this allows you to have more space on the page. And I'm hoping that one day Notion will have this as a default setting because I basically use this all the time. Then you can go ahead and change the cover photo if you'd like, as well as change the icon to whatever icon you'd like to use. And then we can get started with the structure of this template. So this one is going to be called Journal Notion Template. Of course, you can create any kind of title you want. And the next thing is going to be to create two columns so that on the left-hand side, we'll have a quick action section along with our databases, and then an overview of our journal entries as well as journals below. So first, let's go ahead and type /column and choose two columns. Notion just changed this kind of layout view, which I think looks quite nice now. So we can do this. And we're going to use two callout boxes to achieve this. So we're going to type /callout. And the first one is going to be a quick action section. So we can add that button. And underneath here, we're going to add another callout. And to do that, I'm going to click the 6 dots here and duplicate this one. And I'm going to call this one databases. So in general with Notion, it's a good idea to store your databases in a clear spot because it's just really easy to accidentally create too many databases everywhere without realizing your structure for this kind of system. So I highly recommend storing your databases in one section. So I'm going to bold this and bold this one as well. And underneath here, we're going to be adding that button. And then underneath here, we'll be adding our databases. And we can move this over just a bit so that there's more space on here. And here, what we're going to do is /heading. And I'll choose heading 3, journal entries, and then /divider. And this is where our journal entries are going to go. And then underneath here, I'm going to add /heading 3, journals, and then /divider. So this is basically the framework of this. So this is kind of the dashboard. This is where we're going to store the databases. And this is where we're going to have that quick action button. And here you can also change the icons. I currently am in kind of a yellow mode. So I'm going to choose everything in this kind of yellow. And this one, I'm going to choose this kind of click icon. And then here we can add databases like this. So now we have quick action and databases, journal entries slot on this side, and then a journal section on this side. So next, let's go ahead and create our databases. So to do this one, we're going to add a journals database, which kind of acts also like your topics of your journals. And then we'll have one for journal entries. So to create one, we're going to type / and then database, and I'm going to choose database full page. So this creates a database full page like this. And plus new empty database. This one is going to be called journals. And just so that it's easy to find later, I'm going to call this one event Feb, like this. The next step for this one is going to be to create the journals in a gallery view. So I'm going to click the three dots here, layout, and change it to gallery. So I think gallery view looks really good for journals. So this is going to be how this one looks. And in order to set up databases, what I really recommend is to create a sample one, just so that you get a feel for what kind of properties would make sense for this kind of journal. So for this, I'm going to click plus new page, and this one is going to be our daily journal. So I'll just name it daily. And what kind of properties would match here? So basically for these journals, we're going to keep it super simple, but you could add things like the created date of your journal. You can even add custom formulas showing how many entries you have for this journal, but we're just keeping it extremely simple for this use case. So I'm not actually going to add any properties in here at the moment. So then what we can do is add a cover photo. So we can just look at journal, and we'll just add some kind of cover photo here for daily journaling and click out. So now what we can do is showcase that photo by going to the three dots here and going to layout and then changing card preview to page cover. So we see that here. And the other nice thing to add would be a little icon here next to it. So I'm going to go ahead and create that template plus new template and call this new journal. And every new journal is going to get an icon, which is going to be this nice little bookmark. And then if I click out, then if I click this one open and then add new journal, you can see that this one gets added. So anytime you add a new journal, if you create this as a set as default for all views, then it should do that. So let me delete this one and add a new journal. So as you can see, it keeps adding new journals now. So we're going to pause here for the journals and then create the journal entries, and then we're going to connect them together. So let's go ahead and add an icon here as well. And for journals, I'm just going to choose this kind of closed book and then go back. So now we have our journals. The next database, by clicking plus here, is going to be the journal entries. So again, I'm going to add a database, full page, and call this one journal entries. And again, I'm going to call this event Feb. Most likely, if you don't have any journal databases in your Notion at the moment, you probably don't need to add this here. This is just because I have so many journal databases that it's hard for me to find it. So I'm just going to name it something unique. Then we're going to go ahead and create the journal entries database. So what we're going to add in the journal entries database is going to be a sample entry. So let's say that we have a sample daily journal entry. And then now we can think about what kind of properties would make sense for a sample daily journal entry. So this can be things like tags. So we can add a multi-select like this and call this tags so that you can add something like daily or thoughts. Just anything that you feel here, you could add your tags. Then we can add a checkbox by clicking checkbox, and this one can be completed. So when you complete your journal entry, you can click this and it's going to go out of the incomplete into completed. So this can be really useful. And then another thing that we can add is a date. So we're going to click here, date. And now we have a date property. So this is very basic, but this can be a starting point for your journal entries. You can make it as complicated or as simple as you like. And now let's go ahead and add an icon here. So something for writing like this. So now we can add a date and we can think about what kind of relation we can have with our journals. So next we can click the plus sign here and we're going to add a relation property. So this is why it's really important that you can find it. But basically what we're looking for is our journal and we called it event Feb. So journals, event Feb, this one. And we're going to click two-way relation, no limit, and add relation. So now what you can do is tag it to the daily journal like this so that this entry belongs into your daily journal. So this is really important to add. And the other thing we're going to do is just create our incomplete and complete tabs. So this one is going to be incomplete, which means that we haven't checked this off. And then we can add a filter where the completed is unchecked, save for everyone. And then we can duplicate this one, and then this one can be called complete. And then we can add the filter, which is that it's checked. So now we basically have an incomplete and complete section. Just to test it, if I click here, it goes to complete. So this is a really good way to track your journal entries. And now if I open it up, you can see that it's tagged with the daily journal here. So now we've established a connection between journal entries and journals. So now if I go back here and go to journals and then open daily, you'll see this sample journal entry appear here. So now we can actually fix this one up. So the first thing I'm going to do is to hide this property. And this is something that Notion recently changed that I'm not a huge fan of, but basically it's really difficult now to actually put this under relations unless you go to customize layout. So I'm just going to keep things simple by hiding this so you don't see it. The next step is going to be to add a linked view here where you can see all of your daily journal entries or anything else that you add. To do that, we're going to go to the blue button here and go to the three dots and then edit this. Inside of here, we're going to type /linked view of database. So this means that we see a linked view of the database that we have created. In this case, the journal entries we want to see. We want to see incomplete. We also want to see the completed ones. So I'm going to go ahead and add those two tabs. And I'm going to hide the database title so that it's a little bit cleaner here, like this. So we have incomplete and complete. So one thing you'll notice now is that it basically shows this daily journal, and that's not exactly what we want here. We actually want to filter everything by the journal, and we want it to be the new journal. So this new journal template, save for everyone. Now we're going to do the same here, filter, add filter, journals, and then new journal, save for everyone. So now what this does is every time you add a new entry here, it's going to belong to new journal. One more step we're going to do is add that button up top. So /button. And when you click here to add a new entry, so we can add a plus sign. Then we're going to add an action to add page to, and we're going to select the database, which is going to be adding a page to journal entries. The name is going to be called new entry and edit property. You can even do things like make the tag, the date triggered, and you can also add properties for the journal to be this page. And then we can add another action, which is going to open that page in page added in center peak and then done. So now if you click plus new entry, it's going to add that in here and open it up. So let's now test this out, make sure it's working. So now if I click the new journal, it's going to show me that I have this daily journal here. I'm going to click plus new entry and I'll type new daily journal. And let's see if it gets added, and it has been added. So as you can see, it's working properly now. So this kind of database templates is super useful in Notion so that if I create a new one here, let's say this one is called a travel journal, and I want to add a travel entry here, then I can also do that. So sometimes this takes a bit of time to load. Let's see if it loads. Oh, meanwhile, we can add a cover photo. So let's go ahead and add a travel photo here like this. And now we have our travel journal here. So this is how I would set up journaling in Notion in a very basic way. If I go back to the journal template to journals, now to journal entries, we can see the new daily journal that we added. And then one more step I'm going to do is to add a journal template here. So new template. So let's say that we want to add a template for daily journaling. And here we can add an icon as well, such as a paper like this. And you have custom prompts that you want to answer for your daily journal. Then we can add heading 3. What did you do today, for example? Or you can add things like, what was the most meaningful event that happened? And so on. So you can really set this up as complicated or as simple as you want here. You can even add an embed slot for a picture. So we can add heading here, picture of the day, /divider, and then /embed like this, so that you can add your image here, documents here, anything you want for your daily journal. So now what happens is if I go here and let's say I open up my new daily journal, I can open up this daily journaling template so that it just loads automatically. So this is really fun. You can add as many templates as you want here. And in the ultimate digital journal template, which I'll show you a bit later, there's so many of them. So it's really fun to create these. And now if we go back to Journal Notion template, we can see that the two databases are set up. So the last step is basically just to show everything in this dashboard page. So if I go now to here and then /linked view, I could basically link a view to here. So here is all the journal entries. So I'm going to click here. First, we'll show the incompletes, hide database title. The other is going to be the journal entries complete. And I'm also going to hide database title. So it's very simple. Now I'm going to link the view to the other one, linked view of database, and I'm going to choose journals and gallery. So now we see the gallery view of all the journals. So this is the very basic setup that you can use for your journal in Notion. And then the final step is going to be that quick action button. So I'm going to type /button and new journal entry. And we can add that plus sign here. When the button is clicked, new action, add page to journal entries. And then we're going to call it new entry. We can edit the property date to be date triggered. We can also add anything else here, but in this case, we don't need to add anything here. And then add action, open page. Select the page added in center peak and done. So now we can test this out. So let's say that you're really in a hurry. You want to add a quick journal entry. You can click here. Let's say that this is a daily journal. And here you'll want to tag it to the correct journal as well. And then I can even click this template that I already created and start filling it out. So this is the basics of daily journal. And you'll now see the one that we added here. If you want to sort this based on the dates, you can also do that by clicking this one and sort the date by descending. Let's check. So yeah, so the newest goes to the top like this. And you can also create even tabs based on tags. You can create all sorts of views and more. So this is really just the very basic setup for journaling with Notion. So I hope that this is useful. I think there's a lot to play around with here. I would really recommend adding even more templates. You could click plus new template. Let's say that this is a travel journal prompt. And then you can type something like, how was your trip? And so on. So this is a good way to really add more customizability and sort of personalization to your digital journal in Notion. So now if we go back, if this went too fast, be sure to check the replay that's going to be on the channel. And yeah, as I mentioned, feel free to have fun with customizing it. I think that's the most enjoyable part of Notion in general. And the next thing I wanted to share with you all is that if you want more features, you can check out the Ultimate Digital Journal Notion template. There's currently a 40% discount with code FEB40 during checkout. And just to give you an idea of what's possible with digital journaling, I also wanted to give you a brief preview of this template. So this can also give you an idea on what you can implement into your digital journaling, as well as if you're just interested in this template, this can be a really good overview. So basically, just like with the template that we built, we have our journal notebooks here, except that these are now categorized by routine journals, hobby journals, health journals, therapy journals, productivity journals, memory journals, and more. So there's really a lot here. And the other thing is that you can see your journal entries. So this is also very similar to the setup we have before, except now the quick buttons, there's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly entries that you can just click and open. And the other thing that's really unique about this one is a mobile view that you can easily see everything in a mobile friendly way, as well as the prompt inspiration. So this part is really fun. There's so many prompts here, and you can add your own prompts and really have fun with that and see kind of ideas on what you could write about. So health prompts, what did I dream about? Then there's hobby prompts like for books and reading. Did this book resonate with me? Why or why not? And these kind of things. So this can be really fun to use. And if I, for example, look at my yearly entry, you can open up the prompt ideas and see all of the planning prompts here. So what will be my theme of the year? And if you like that, you can write about it down here. So that's basics of the Ultimate Digital Journal. If you're interested, I'll leave a link to this in the chat. So and next, let's go into the Q&A section. So if you have any questions throughout this live stream, feel free to write that into the chat. And if you're watching this after I've posted this live, then feel free to also comment below the live stream, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions about digital journaling or about Notion. So next, let's go ahead and go into how you can download freebies and more. So as I mentioned, there's the 40% discount code FEB40 during checkout on most premium templates. There's also a 30% discount on the Notion Mastery course, Learn by Building. This one basically takes you through building various small projects that covers various aspects of Notion so that you can build something that you want in Notion, which is basically what your sort of the main use case for Notion is the fact that you can build something important for you. So that's kind of the idea behind this one. I'll also leave the link to that here. And if you want to download freebies, they are located at this link here. And then if you're interested in any of the services, such as Notion coaching or custom template design, you can find all the services here. So feel free to reach out to me if you want to talk more about Notion or anything you might have questions about. You can reach out to me at organizednotebook.info@gmail.com, and I'm more than happy to answer any of your questions. So thank you so much for joining this event today. I hope that this was useful, and I hope to see you all in the next one.